Let's all rise, please, for an invocation by Councilman Behet.
We pray for the agenda set forth before us this evening and ask that we be granted the ability to work together in harmony when there's honest disagreement and dissent. We ask for the strength to speak up when given the opportunity to speak, the patience to listen receptively and empathically when it's time to listen. We ask for the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues that we encounter. And we ask for a keen sense of the welfare and needs of our residents. May we be reminded that we're here not only as leaders, but as servants, and that it's our responsibility to serve the common good of all the residents of Miami Springs. Amen.
Nice. Let's all stand, all join in for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know if you noticed, council, but we have a new fixture back here to, so we can comply with the styrofoam and plastic. No,
That's right.
Alarms are gonna go off.
we have water over here in cardboard containers. So
Step in the right
We're just
direction.
getting rid of the supply.
This water
Okay.
bottle.
Okay,
so
good.
It'll be repurposed.
Good, good. Or a vase. Okay, so let's see. Do we have public comments? Anyone signed up?
There's no one.
Oh, no one virtually?
No one
either?
virtually. Nope.
Okay, so we'll move to, this is our special council meeting on Wednesday, July 20th. And we'll move to the first resolution.
this is a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, declaring as required by section 200.065 Florida statutes, the city's proposed millage rate, rollback rate computed pursuant to section 200.065 Florida statutes, and the date, time, and place at which the first and second public budget hearings will be held to consider the proposed millage rate and the tentative budget for fiscal year 22-23, directing the city clerk and city manager to file this resolution with the Miami-Dade County Property Appraiser, authorizing the city manager to change budget hearing dates if needed, and providing for an effective date. In your packet, I prepared a memo for you. Let me just read some of the highlights from it. The administration recommends setting the millage cap tonight at 6.9900 and use available reserves to fund the $123,478 deficit. This cap would allow us to show councils and the administration's commitment to keep reducing our millage rate in the city. The last time our millage rate was under 7 was in 2012, when it was set at 6.74. Our highest rate was in 2003, when the millage was 8.7440. We're currently projecting to have excess fund balance of approximately $300,000 at the end of the current fiscal year. So we would have an additional $176,522 that council could use to fund some of the wish list items or any other items that council may be considering for next budget year. As you're aware, the millage rate you set tonight will be the cap for the upcoming budget year. Council may lower the rate after all budget meetings are completed, but it may not set a rate higher than the cap that is approved tonight. Then I go on into the what the assessed values for this year are. Almost $122.2 million, or 9.2% higher than the prior year's assessment of 1.3. This represents approximately $112,000 in net additional ad valorem revenues for next year at the proposed millage rate of 6.99. This year's assessment increase of $122 million is mainly due to the fact that last year's assessments, as you know, for hotel properties were decreased by almost 8.7%. Additionally, the Save Our Homes increase in residential homes this year is 3%, as opposed to 1.4% in the prior year. Just for information, for fiscal year 22-23, each 1/10 reduction in millage is equivalent to about $130,684. I gave you some other millage things. For example, the rollback rate this year is 6.6352. If we assume that rollback rate, the budget will show us a deficit of about $609,000. This budget would require cost reductions or use of available fund balance to balance it. At the current millage rate of 7.2095, the budget will create a surplus of $177,000. This scenario also includes the budget assumptions detailed below and does not include any of the items on the wish list. Then I give you some of the more significant budget funding requests for this year. And we can take those up during the workshop, but at this time, we're recommending the cap be set at 6.99.
Mayor, through the chair, I'd like to make a motion that we go with the administration's request of a millage rate set at a ceiling of 6.9900 for fiscal year 2022, 2023.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Well, there's a second, but no, it's fine.
No,
it's
there's
fine.
a second.
You
So
can
it's time for
discuss.
discussion. This is the time for discussion before we vote. If you have. any.
Okay, so at the 6.95, not because I want to go lower, just because I'm making sense of the numbers. I think where the city's in a very good position to go slightly lower if we can. Not only because we have a projected excess coming in, but also we want to go ahead and take advantage of the last wave of the increased property values. I think that Miami Springs has always worked on an opportunistic state, in this sense. And I think that this would be the best time to lower it just a little bit more, because I do see, property values are going to go down. So if we can maybe even establish in the next meeting, we can establish a rate and then maybe keep it for a year or two, or whenever this annexation comes through, and buy us some time. I think we could risk that 0.5. And you know what, if we can't, when we're doing budget, if we can't spend certain things, then maybe we have to go conservative for a year or two until we get our ducks lined up. Because I see that there was a grant that the recreation center wanted to look into for parks and plans. So maybe we should just halt the projects coming through, see that come through, the plan, and then work from there. But I think that, we have to be a little bit responsible. And if we have to put holds on funds and we can't do certain things at certain times, then we don't do it. We don't really have to spend anything if we don't have to. But if we could take advantage of a little bit, we're taking the last wave until we go down again. It's the opportunity to do it now, because I don't think we're going to be able, perhaps not reduce our tax for the next year or two, unless annexation comes through, then we lower down, because that's our promise. That's the whole intent.
Councilman, I
Mayor?
think you understand though, this is the cap.
Yes.
We can lower it. We'll work to lower it. In fact, that's your responsibility and each of ours now.
Yep.
With this budget to figure out how we can lower it, and then it may be, but we have to be responsible in, like you're saying, we may be able to, we may not. If we can't, then we can't establish a lower rate that we can't exceed. So
Right.
this is an amazing achievement. And I really want to thank our city manager and our city staff in coming down, because we're consistently, last year we went to the rollback rate, which was low 7. Now we're under 7. And this is an amazing achievement to say that we can pretty much meet our budget, meet our goals. I don't think any of our residents want to go backward. They expect services, and they expect more services, and they rightly so. They should. We should not say we're staying the same. I mean, our goal should be, and I think it is for all of us, to constantly improve and do better. I mean, that's a Warren saying, but doing better with less. But the reality is we can't always do better with less, but at least we're doing better in a responsible way. So it may be that we can lower it. This is just the cap, which means that when we discuss the budget, if we need to, we have this much millage available to us. But at the end, when we go through this, everyone understands that, right?
Yeah.
If we can lower it, we will. It's just, it gives us that little wiggle room to be able to responsibly look at. And again, what's here in the budget, proposed budget that William has prepared for us to review before the budget workshops is, and I want to get this point across, because I don't know if sometimes we realize that we're asking our staff, to provide our community with all these services, do all this work, make all these improvements and do routine things that are needed. And they're telling us in the proposed budget what they need to be able to do that, what their costs are. And it's for us to evaluate that and determine whether that's necessary or not, whether we want to, they're giving us the information we're asking for as to what they feel is necessary for them to do this. And then we're the ones that have to discern whether we want to cut that down. And if we do, then we would
Okay.
lower our millage in the final.
I have
Mm.
one more
Assessment.
question for the city manager.
Go ahead.
William, if we go down to 6.95, you put here that we have in point 10, 0.10 reductions in millage is equivalent to 130,000.
Mhm.
So if we go from 6.99 to 6.95, which is 0.05, is the deficit still 178? I don't think it
Yeah,
it mounts up
At a millage rate of 6.95, the budget will show a deficit of 178,000.
because it decreases 0.05.
Yeah,
So it would be half of the 130.
correct.
So our deficit is not really 130. If we go to 6.95, would be at 70
Yep.
something and change. So I don't think
I got it.
70 something thousand is gonna make or break anything.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I could just make a comment. So I echo the sentiments of Councilwoman Bravo and I think that the residents deserve to have as low a millage rate as possible. And I think they also deserve more services. But I think it's unwise for us to hamstring ourselves going into the budget process by setting the cap any lower than this, because we know in going through this budget process that there are requests and there's the wish list and then there's requests and people come and they ask, and we need to give ourselves, this is the budget process, and we need to give ourselves room to navigate the process. And by setting it any lower, I feel it just kind of hamstrings us from being able to do what we're supposed to do during this process. I'm all in favor of lowering the millage rate, but for the sake of my opinion, for the sake of setting the cap, because the last two budgets, we've set the cap low and we've always gone lower. So there's nothing to say that we're not going to do the same thing. But in terms of setting the cap, I feel like this is a great place to start. And I would favor my second of Councilman Best's motion for 6.99.
I think that was through the chair, well explained by both the mayor and the vice mayor. And as you can see, Councilwoman Bravo, our ability throughout the month of August, as we're going to meet often, probably our most important deliberations of the entire year that we serve, is going through this budget process and setting the budget for the next fiscal year. But your opportunity of what you're heralding right here is going to be satisfied during that period of time. We could come back and in fact lower this even more. I think this 6.9900 is a major league statement already, just by virtue of the fact that it's lowering the budget by 3%. The county's waving their flag that they lower their budget by 1%. We just blew them away times 3.
Yeah.
If this goes through. I mean,
This has been consistent
Yeah.
on our part of, we're providing, if you drive around Miami Springs and, and you really look at it fairly, we're better than ever. We're providing more services than we ever have.
Right.
Going back, if you go back, year to year, it's hard to notice this, but go back 10 years or whenever our millage was what, 8.7. So we're doing a phenomenal job, and I don't mean just this council. I mean, I think all the councils across the board and the
Historically.
administration and stuff, at reducing, effectively reducing this and trying to get the best we can for our residents and always improving, always making our city better. So this in itself is a major achievement that our city manager and finance director feels that we can, come down to this level and still fairly look at everything that's in the budget. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, which is always sets my heart beating fast around this time of the year, is August and September is hurricane season.
Mhm.
And, God forbid, but if her major hurricane comes, that throws kind of everything, all our plans, to the side, and we have to deal with the reality of, coming back, recovery from a hurricane, and it might be not a big deal, or it might be a huge deal.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
Through the chair.
yes, sir.
First of all, I'm glad that we're going in the right direction. Some people say, how's my neighborhood doing? Well, we're going in the right direction.
Mhm.
And so I applaud Councilwoman Bravo and Vice Mayor Fahed for their explanations. I think we're in the same boat and we're both rowing in the same directions. Sometimes we like to row a little faster and see if we can get there. I can tell you, my wife reminds me every month about the millage. When I told her this was the meeting, she said, "And what are you guys going to do?" I said, "Well, we're going to lower it." And so without, this is the next point on the agenda, thinking about the future. I mean, I do want to get in here and thank everyone who was able to go to the vote this time. I was not able to attend this time. I went the last time and we didn't get a vote on the annexation. Hopefully, things are progressing in the right direction and we may be having different conversations in 6 or 8 months about these issues, but I'm hopeful. I fully accept the city's recommendation of a 6.99. And again, through the budget process, we may find even a little more
Each
wiggle
of
room.
us now, it's
So-
our responsibility to,
Yeah.
in
And
preparation for
also
each
we
meeting.
need to take public stance on the annexations and so forth and so on. So
No, and through the chair, it wasn't for anything. It's just, just for thorough explanation, just if there was any doubt, William would be able to clear it out for me or for us.
Yep.
But I'm okay with the 6.99. Like, I know that this is
It's
not
our
permanent.
working
We,
top.
It's
I
our
mean,
cap.
it's the
Yeah.
most we can expend, but hopefully, like we always have, as we look to get it lower.
Councilman Fahad brought up, he brought up the last 2 years because you've been involved with it.
Mhm.
But historically, and you can ask Bob, he's been here many years, we always set a high cap and it always ends
Give
up
us
being
wiggle
lower.
room.
Yeah.
It's a responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
We just can't, be at, and I'd like to thank Councilman Best for that because at least for the years I've been on the council, he's been the consistent proponent of we can do a little lower at the end after we go through the whole budget and we've set the cap and we kind of all agree on, well, we all agree on the cap, but then work on the budget and then he just kind of has always consistently worked to get it a little lower and I think that's been remarkable.
And just to be clear, we're set, the cap, the ceiling
yes,
Yes.
is historically lower than
Yes.
any millage rate we've
historically.
had since
And last year
2012.
was the
So,
first time we did a rollback,
right.
right? And how long? So, I mean, these are
Yeah,
historic.
This is a big deal.
It's, yes. Okay. So anything else? We thrown in those
We're-
words enough.
We're heading in the
Historic
right direction.
and- Yeah, okay. All right. So any other discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
yes.
and Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Now
William.
We have one other resolution, 5B.
Yeah, this is a housekeeping measure. We need to read this into the record. This is a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, expressing the city's intent to provide property tax relief by reducing its millage rate upon approval of the city's annexation application, which is pending before the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners, providing for transmittal and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair, motion to move 5B.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, great. So we'll start meeting in the second
First,
weekend.
budget workshops are August
15th
15th
and
August
29th.
29th.
Okay,
15th and
and then we'll
29th.
add one more if we need to
If we
into
need to,
August.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Should we mention the meeting? today, Or, well, I guess
Well,
just,
you can mention.
yeah, I'll just let
on
an
annexation.
update because since we don't get to get together and all this, behind the scenes, obviously, William and I and our city attorneys and our lobbyists, Jose Fuentes, have been working to address the annexation issues. And this is really good news. Last week, after the vote went through with the county, that the county approved the annexation process, I got a call from a business owner in the annexation area. He says he represents, he's a property owner and he represents about 70 business and property owners in the area who are very supportive of the annexation. They see a lot of good things coming to their community. They understand, which there's been a lot of misinformation out there or misunderstanding that, the property owners and the business owners that their millage rate is going to go up to our current rate of 7.2. And, we've tried to get that across. No, your millage rate is not going to increase to that. In fact, it'll come down or substantially come down. This resolution that we signed today is a commitment that we're going to bring it down to between 3.9 to 4.8 at the high end, which is remarkable in and of itself. And that's just the first year. We'll constantly be working at that. So anyway, so they're very supportive. They wanted to know how they can support us in front of the county. We invited him and another person to a meeting this morning. And, they said that they talked about the opportunities of us working with that new area and starting from ground zero for them to be involved in how they want that area to look. Obviously, there's a lot of issues that we need to discuss, but it was really a very good meeting. And I know we tend to hear from the people that are complaining about this, but I just wanted the council to know that this is, and so, and these are 70, he said, business and property owners in that area. We're also setting up meetings. William and I are going to be setting up meetings with the property owners and business owners, inviting them to open meetings in August, just sending out letters to all the property owners and letting them know that we're going to have open meetings in August, and they can pick from a certain set of dates to come and just ask questions, learn about us, we'll answer their concerns. We'll talk about Miami Springs. We'll listen to their issues and just work together on this process of, looking toward the future for annexation. And the opportunities for both our city and for them. So we'll talk more obviously at the city council meeting on annexation at the August city council meeting, but I just wanted the council to kind of know that that's what's happening in the background.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
And with that, nothing else. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.